American pilots flew toward Tokyo in 1942, but reality hit them like nothing they'd trained for. The first shock came when they saw the fuel gauges dropping faster than calculated. Then something appeared on the horizon they never planned for. And what they discovered about themselves in those final moments changed how America fought the entire war. But here's what history books rarely mention about that day: the fuel problem. The B-29 bombers left the aircraft carrier deck that morning. 16 planes, 80 men total. Their mission was simple on paper: fly to Tokyo and return. But Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle knew something the crew didn't. The math didn't work. See, these bombers were designed for long runways on land, not short carrier decks on moving ships. They had to launch early, way too early. That meant they were burning fuel just to get airborne, more fuel than anyone wanted to admit. The pilots watched their fuel gauges during the flight, numbers dropping, faster than training exercises, faster than any calculation predicted. Every man in those cockpits did the same silent math. Distance to Tokyo, fuel remaining, distance to safety. The answer was clear. They weren't coming back the way they left. But that wasn't the biggest shock waiting for them. The horizon discovery. Hours into the flight, something changed. The Pacific Ocean stretched endlessly below them. Then the navigator spotted it. Land. But not just any land. They were approaching Japan faster than expected. The wind had pushed them. Strong tailwinds at high altitude. Nobody planned for this. Now they had a new problem. Arriving early meant arriving in daylight. Full daylight. The original plan said they'd hit Tokyo at dusk. Shadows. Limited visibility for enemy fighters. Better odds. But now? They were going in during broad afternoon sun. Every anti-aircraft gun would see them clearly. Every Japanese Zero fighter would have perfect visibility. The pilots looked at each other. No radio communication allowed. Radio silence was critical. They couldn't ask command for new orders. Doolittle made the call with hand signals. They were continuing, no turning back. 16 bombers flew toward Tokyo, in perfect daylight, completely exposed. And that's when they saw what was loaded in their bomb bays. The napalm revelation. The crew members had loaded bombs the night before. Standard procedure, nothing unusual. But they didn't ask what was inside them. During the flight, the bombardiers checked their payload. That's when they noticed something different. The bombs felt lighter. The weight distribution was off. These weren't regular explosives. They were incendiary bombs, filled with a new chemical mixture: napalm. Most of the crew had never heard that word before. It was experimental, newly developed. A mixture of gasoline and a thickening agent. When it hit a target, it didn't just explode. It spread, like liquid fire, sticking to everything it touched. The pilots realized what this meant. They weren't just bombing military factories. This weapon was designed for wooden structures. Tokyo was built almost entirely of wood and paper. Homes, shops, neighborhoods. The mission had changed in their minds. This wasn't just a military strike anymore. But orders were orders, and Tokyo was now visible on the horizon. What happened next would haunt some of them forever. The attack run. The bombers descended to attack altitude. Low, dangerously low. Some dropped to just 500 feet above the city. Anti-aircraft fire erupted from the ground. Black smoke bursts filled the sky around them. The planes shook from near misses. But something was wrong. The Japanese defenses seemed confused. See, Japan thought they were safe. Tokyo had never been attacked before. Their military leaders said it was impossible. The Japanese fighters were scrambling to respond, but they were trained to intercept high-altitude bombers, not low-flying aircraft coming in fast. The American pilots pushed forward. Bomb bay doors opened. The first napalm bombs fell, then the second wave, then the third. From the cockpits, the crews watched below. Small fires at first. Then something terrifying started happening. The fires weren't staying contained. They were spreading, block by block, building by building. The wind was carrying the flames faster than anyone expected.
The moral weight. The pilots pulled up after releasing their payload, banking hard, engines screaming, getting out of there as fast as possible. But some looked back. They shouldn't have. Tokyo was burning. Not just factories or military buildings. Entire neighborhoods were engulfed in flames. The napalm was doing exactly what it was designed to do, creating firestorms, uncontrollable, spreading rapidly. In their headsets, some crew members were silent. Others were praying. A few were crying. They were warriors, trained for combat, but this felt different. The bombardier on Doolittle's plane said something later. He said he felt like they'd crossed the line, a line nobody had warned them about. War was supposed to be about soldiers fighting soldiers. This was something else. But there was no time to process it. Enemy fighters were closing in fast, and they still had another massive problem to solve. Where were they going to land? The impossible escape. The fuel gauges were nearly empty now, red lights glowing in every cockpit. China was the only option left, but China was hundreds of miles away, over mountains, over enemy territory. Japanese fighters followed them for a while, then broke off, few limits of their own. The American bombers climbed higher, trying to save every drop of fuel, flying as efficiently as possible. One by one, engines started sputtering. Fuel tanks were running completely dry. Night was falling now. Darkness covered the mountains below. No lights anywhere, no landmarks visible. Radio operators tried to contact Chinese allies. Static, no response. They were flying blind. Doolittle made the hardest call of his career. He ordered all planes to prepare for emergency actions. Some crews would try to crash land, others would bail out, jump into the darkness below. 16 planes had attacked Tokyo. Not a single one would make it to a proper landing. But what the pilots discovered about themselves during those final moments changed everything. The personal discovery. As the planes ran out of fuel, something happened. The fear disappeared. These men had been terrified during the Tokyo attack, terrified during the escape. But now, facing almost certain death, they became calm. Pilots helped their crew members prepare to bail out, checking parachutes, sharing water, shaking hands. They'd done the impossible mission. Hit Tokyo, shocked Japan, shocked the world. Whether they survived the landing or not, they'd already succeeded. That realization changed them. One pilot wrote in his journal later, he said he discovered he was braver than he ever knew, not because he wasn't afraid, but because he did it anyway. The crew members bailed out into Chinese mountains, parachutes opening in total darkness. Some landed in trees, some in rivers. One plane crash landed on a beach. 71 of the 80 men survived. 8 were captured by Japanese forces, 3 were executed. But their mission had worked, and the impact would echo for years. The lasting impact. The Tokyo raid didn't destroy Japan's military. It wasn't supposed to. But it did something more important. It proved Japan could be reached, could be attacked. Japanese military leaders had promised their people total safety. That promise was now broken. Japan pulled back fighter planes from the Pacific, repositioned them to defend the homeland. That weakened their offensive operations. American morale skyrocketed. After months of defeats, they finally had a victory. But for the pilots who survived, something stayed with them: the memory of Tokyo burning. They discovered their own courage, but they'd also discovered the cost of war. Some became advocates for peace later in life. Others never spoke about the mission again. The napalm they dropped that day would be used again, in bigger raids, in other wars. What started as one experimental mission became the template for modern aerial warfare. And those 16 crews changed history forever. The Doolittle mission reshaped World War II aviation history forever. American pilots in B-25 bombers over Tokyo discovered incredible courage. Later Tokyo missions included P-51 Mustang escorts, providing World War II bomber support. American pilots' experiences during Tokyo operations became legendary World War II aviation stories. World War II pilot debriefings from the 1942 Tokyo flights revealed extraordinary determination. These moments defined what courage truly means. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who values history.